Welcome back to the Fenway Focus. This is our first midweek show of the year, excluding our season preview. My name is Jason. I'm here with Derrik, as always. And Derrik, get the brooms out. The Red Sox have swept the Oakland Athletics. I know a series is a series, a sweep's a sweep, but yeah, first sweep of the season feels great.
Definitely. I think when we talk about, everyone's like, oh, it's Oakland, you're supposed to sweep them. Even if you're supposed to beat them, sweep them, whatever, you still have to go out and do it. So I think overall, they got the job done. It's a little tight. Crazy things tend to happen when the Red Sox go to Oakland. But they won all three. That's really what matters. Doesn't really matter how you get there as long as you get there. And that's what they did. So now they have an off day today as we were recording, and then they will be off to play the Angels, who don't know where they are because they are the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, because that makes sense. But yeah, I will always pick on them for that because that makes literally zero sense at all.
Exactly. But hey, yeah, like you said, a win's a win. And even though the Red Sox played two games in that series that were very, very close, win's a win at the end of the day. So I wanted to go break down kind of each game. We can go game one first. Red Sox routed the Athletics 9-0 behind a stellar performance by Tanner Houck. Houck went 6 innings pitched. He gave up 3 hits, 0 earned runs, and struck out 10. 10 strikeouts.
Also didn't walk anyone.
No walks, too. I was going to get to that. But what stuck out to you in that game? Whether it be the hitting or the Houck performance, what stuck out to you?
I mean, I think obviously the Houck performance obviously stands out. I think that's kind of the big thing. I thought it was funny that Rafaela had 2 sac flies. I found that funny because if you just look at the stat sheet and just look at the hits for at bats, it's he went 0 for 3, but he had 2 sac flies, brought in 2 runs. I mean, not that it would have mattered because they won 9-0, but it's nice to see even though he went 0 for 3, that it was still a productive game. He still brought in 2 runs. So I think overall, you take that. I think Emmanuel Valdez has obviously had a good series. We'll talk about him a little bit more. Duran, obviously. Come on. The guy went, 3 for 5 in game 1.
3 for 5 and 3 stolen bases, too?
Yeah, and it's what? And I think over the course of the series, he had, 9 hits in the series? In a 3-game series, that's insane. He became the first player for the Red Sox, I think, to steal 5 bases in the first 5 games, or was the second, or the first, not the first player, but the first player since whenever the heck it was. I already forgot. I have terrible memory, as it shows, but he's became one of the few to steal 5 bases in the first 5 games for the Red Sox, or maybe he was the first. I don't remember. Like I said, terrible memory on my behalf. That's all right though. I think though the most important thing overall though was they only used 2 pitchers. Houck went 6, looked very nice, and then obviously Chase Anderson coming in, joining the 1 save club, comes in 3 innings, only gives up a hit, strikes out 3, and he also didn't walk anyone. And I think we saw over the last couple of years, the walks are a big issue for the Red Sox pitching staff. You'd see games where they'd walk 5 people, and then as a team at the plate, they'd only draw 1 walk at best, maybe 2. And this game 1, they drew 7 walks, and they didn't walk anyone. What's the easiest way to win games? Draw walks, get 3 guys on base, and don't give up any free passes. Don't walk guys. You do both of them, you're going to be in a good spot, right? Now, it's not a guarantee to win games, but it's like in football, right? You think of don't turn the ball over and create turnovers on defense. It's kind of similar in the sense of where don't walk people when you're pitching and draw walks at the plate, and you're going to have a decent shot.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what stuck out to me about this whole pitching rotation. The fewest amount of walks I've probably ever seen, commanding the strike zone, throwing first pitch strikes, getting back in the count if you're down 2-0. I just like the approach by these Red Sox starters. That has been, for the biggest question mark of the team, the starting rotation, they have defied my expectations. So far, it's very early, but still, Biggest question for them is sustainability. We're going to see in the next coming weeks whether, this is sustainable. And if, I don't know, 2 guys go down with an injury, then we can start to question. But, we said last podcast, I want to go back to Jarren Duran for a second. We said last show that, Duran, if he doesn't have a good series, we're going to start to ask those questions. Nope, put those rumors to sleep, and I think it's safe to say that he is very hot right now. The guy who's kind of struggling right now is Willie Abreu. Really looks outmatched at the plate. I think he only has like 1 or 2 hits. Correct me if I'm wrong, Derek. Hasn't looked great. Strikes out a lot, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on him, real quick, before we go on to the second game?
I think with Willier, he is pressing. I think that doesn't help at all. Pressing definitely is not going to help. He's hitting 154 right now. All his hits are singles. He has drawn a couple walks, but outside of that, it's basically he's got a 40% K rate right now. Small sample size. He's only had 15 plate appearances. I think people are blowing it out of proportion a bit much. Like I said, 15 plate appearances, and this happens every year with Red Sox fans, right? Remember Casas' struggles last year, and people are like, "Oh my God, send him back to AAA. He stinks." And it's like, and with Casas, everyone was telling everyone with that's seeing Casas play throughout the minor leagues was like, he always starts slow. We're seeing it a little bit again this year. He always starts slow, right? He's always done that, even in the minor leagues. Always first couple weeks, even sometimes the first month, starts slow, then starts to pick it up, and then by mid-season, it's like we saw it last year, right? With Willier, he hasn't necessarily been a slow starter in the minors. I think it goes back to the point. I think he's pressing a little bit too much, trying to do too much with one swing of the bat, and he's probably a little bit in his own head. I think I think this Red Sox team though has good vibes. I think he'll eventually kind of settle in a little bit. And like I said, it's 15 plate appearances. He goes out in this Angels series, plays the game, goes 3 for 4, hits a homer, and people are going to stop complaining, right? People are going to shut up, at least for a night, right? And that might be all he needs. Have a good game, and then the games keep on coming, right? And keep on having good games. So I'm not going to overreact to it. Like I said, it's 15 plate appearances. He had a very good run in September last year. Overall, in those, 28 games he played, 316, 388, 474. Now, 431 BABIP, it was never going to stay, let's be honest. That was never going to stay. But at the same time, I think overall picture, he's better than what he's shown in these 5 games he's appeared in. It's 5 games. We play a 162 game season plus however many games if you're in the postseason. What's 5 games? It's 5 games. I think
small sample size. I agree.
Yeah, small sample size. I think a lot of people, especially Red Sox fans, especially in social media and whatnot, I think a lot of people are very quick to overreact to something just because it's they're living a little bit too much in the moment. They're not seeing the big picture. I think big picture, it's not a concern.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you gotta give, like you said, you said it perfectly. You gotta give these guys some time. Casas not known to start hot, but we'll get there soon. It's also cold, so I give them that excuse, kind of. So let's go to game. Yeah. Alrighty, let's go to game 2, where it took 11 innings, but the Red Sox won 5-4. The Red Sox moved to 1-1 in extra frames this season. It was kind of the long ball for Oakland, and Story had a great game. Story had 3 hits, 2 RBIs, but struck out 2 times, but whatever. But Story, who cares if you're going to get that production? But Story's bat kind of came alive in this game, and got the tying run back in the 7th inning to make it 3-3. No, 4-4. Sorry. What are your thoughts and takeaways from the series, Derek?
I think overall, when you look at this second game, I think it's kind of just more so this is more so a thing where it's like I said, funny stuff happens when they play in Oakland, right? Bayo didn't have the greatest start. Did give up 2 homers, a little bit of the long ball biting him, but overall, Weissert looked great out of the pen. Campbell looked great out of the pen. Martin looked great. Jansen was a little shaky, but he still got the job done. The Red Sox only walked 4 guys. Jansen was 2 of those walks. So, I wouldn't really worry about that.
He was
so
also getting a little unlucky too.
Yeah, well, also I'll say this: they walked 4 guys. One was an intentional walk with Winkowski when Winkowski was on the mound. So that there's 1 of your walks. Now you only got 3. Jansen walked the other 2, but he wasn't getting some. The umpires this series and the Seattle series have kind of sucked. So, but he did struggle a little bit, but he got out of the inning, right? And I think that's what matters. Got out of the inning clean, didn't give up any runs in terms by clean, didn't give up any runs. And then Winkowski obviously threw 15 pitches, 15 strikes, and I'd say strikes in air quotes because some of the strikes were about 3, 4, 5 inches away from the strike zone, and they were being called strikes. I mean, shout out to that umpire, I guess, but it was rough. I think overall, Red Sox, they showed some resiliency. They stuck in this game, and I think overall, you have to look at that performance, and especially from the bullpen. You look at that and you go, "Oh my gosh, you got to feel good about it." The only other thing I'll say is that game made me want to get off the West Coast. Want to get off the West Coast time of 9:30 starts. By the 10th inning, I'm like, I want to go to bed. What are we doing here? Get me off. Get end this. And I think once the Red Sox scored the 5th run, I'm like, okay, just get the next cup, get one more out, go to the bottom of the 11th, and just get 3 guys out, and so I can go to sleep. And I mean, that's it's obviously a bigger conversation. I'm a favor of, a lot of people aren't going to like this, but I'm a favor of doing the NPB rule of if you're tied after the 12th inning, have a tie, because it's insane. If you can't decide a winner in 12 innings, what are we doing? Neither of you deserve to win at that point. You played 12 innings. I don't want to go 20 innings to find a winner. I don't know. That's just me. That's just how I look at it. But I think that I was starting to get to the point where I'm like, this is just insane. 11, 12, we get to maybe the 13th, 14th. It's no, this is stupid. Why? If you can't win at that point, no one deserves to win, in my opinion. It's you had your full 9 innings. You had an extra 3 innings. It's but that's a different discussion. But overall, I did like what the Red Sox did, especially in terms of the bullpen. They came up clutch at times with the offense.
Oh, very.
So, overall, 3 of their 5 runs were batted in with 2 outs as well. I thought that was huge. So, overall, I think I like the game. Obviously, would have liked it to be a little bit more blowout like the first game. But like I said earlier, you take them how you get them. It doesn't matter how you get it. But they got the win done, and like I said, the bullpen looked good. So overall, I was okay with it.
I think one of the biggest things that stuck out to me in this game was the defense. The defense last year doesn't win you this game. Rafaela made an insane catch in center field to keep this game, alive for the Red Sox. But Devers had a great play too. Just having a good center fielder really changes the game. And when Rafaela makes those plays in extra innings to save a game, the difference between 4-2 and 3-3 is a lot, in my opinion. I just think a 4-2 record looks much better than 3-3. I don't know why. That just visually looks much better. But yeah, like you said, great job by the bullpen too. Bayo probably had his B- stuff. He gave up the long ball really stunk with him. I think 1, 2 home runs.
A
I
slider
think
and a changeup. 2 homers, 1 on a slider, 1 on a changeup.
Yeah.
I don't remember the slider one, but I remember the changeup. It was right down the middle, just kind of right over middle of the plate, belt high. It doesn't matter who you are. You leave your changeup there. You have a very decent chance of it going over the fence.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's game 2. Game 3, day after night game. And Red Sox win a 1-0 game on a sacrifice fly, I believe. Yeah, on a sacrifice fly by Manuel Valdez. Yeah, crazy. In a game where I think the Red Sox grounded into 4 double plays that game, despite getting 10 hits. Crazy. Jansen kind of gave everyone a heart attack in the 9th inning. But, at the end of the day, he did a good job. Main takeaways. Floor is yours, Derek.
I mean, Martin ran into a little bit of trouble as well in the 3rd game. Interesting about this game, though, is the pitching did kind of close it down, I guess, in some sense. Red Sox were 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Not great. The A's were 2 for 9. So it wasn't really a great game in terms of hitting. I think overall, when the Red Sox look at this game, they're not going to necessarily like the plate approach. Especially, you're facing Ross Stripling. You had 8 hits against him. No walks with Ross Stripling on the mound. They only had 1 walk all game. I think that showed a little bit more of kind of the Red Sox teams of the last couple of years, where even if they have good at bats, they're not drawing walks. And I think at times we go back to like 2022, where it felt like that team never drew walks at times. This game kind of felt a little bit like Story drew the lone walk, and that was it. And you had 10 hits, but like Jarren Duran was 4 of them. So outside of Duran, your team had 6 hits, right? And it's like, okay, it's like that's not great. And you even look at the numbers, right? You start looking like later into the game, it's like, okay, like you let Ross Stripling go 7 innings on you. Like Ross Stripling's not a bad pitcher, but like you cannot let Ross Stripling go 7 innings when he gives up 8 hits. You should very well, if he gives up 8 hits, you should score 3 or 4 on him, get him out of the game by the 5th or 6th inning, and then you get into that bullpen, which is not a deep bullpen. It's Mason Miller, and then just chuck it together and hope and pray, for the most part, right? So, I think when you look at that game, it's nice that they won. Pivetta looked good. The pitching staff looked pretty good for the most part. Like I said, bullpen ran into a little bit of trouble at times, but like I said, doesn't matter how you get there. They didn't give up any runs. So overall, I think it was an okay game, but it wasn't like. It was probably, in my opinion, it was the worst game of the series for the team.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to put it. I look at it, other than Kenley Jansen, there was only 1 walk given up by Pivetta, and no walks, like I said, excluding Jansen, given up by the bullpen, right? Joali was okay. He wasn't incredible, but he was okay.
Good by his standards.
Good by his standards. Slayton looked amazing. Just what a Rule 5 pickup, maybe turning into Garrett Whitlock. I don't know yet, but he's really trying to think of the term. He's really creating a good image of himself. I'll put it that way. He's turning into something. Sustainability is the biggest thing here. But yeah, defense. The defense, though, I will say, very shaky at times. Rafaela had a fielding error, and Story had a big throwing error. I think Valdez also had a weird play, but technically you couldn't assume a double play, so correct me if I'm wrong. But, defense, at the end of the day, the Sox won. That's what matters. But if they lost this game, you'd go back and look at those defensive plays and say, well, here's another one where the Red Sox could have gone another game, but hey, at the end of the day, they got the win, and you just got to move on. Definitely. Anything else to add on this game?
Not in the game. I think in the series as a whole, overall, like when you look at this, and I think we're gonna look back towards the beginning of the season, especially with the pitching staff. Depending on what the pitching staff turns out to be by the end of the year, I think we're gonna look back at this, and either we're gonna look at a series like this and be like, this is where our pitching staff really showed like how good they can be in terms of avoiding walks for the most part, and just kind of attacking the strike zone, not giving up free base runners, getting guys out in clutch moments, the bullpen being dominant, or we get late in the season, the pitching staff falls apart, and we're gonna look at it and go, where did that go? Where had that went? I think this is a series that we look back at either positively because the pitching staff holds up throughout the season and looks really good, or we look at it, with kind of the negative point of view of like what happened to the pitching staff, because it's great to see what they're doing, but we're 7 games into the season. There's only so much weight you can put to it. So is it nice to see? Yes, it's amazing to see, but it's also too that bit of let's hold off on calling this like the greatest pitching staff ever, because like with 7 games, the next 155 games could be terrible. So I think that's kind of the balance you got to have on it.
But it's trending in the right direction. I think that's my main takeaway, at least. It's trending in the right direction. What I said before in this podcast, sustainability is the biggest question. And if they can sustain for hopefully the whole season, I think we're going to be looking at a decent ball club, but I don't have a magic ball. I can't tell the future, so we're going to see later. But yeah, you want to do a series preview? We can preview matchups, so you get our predictions. So tomorrow is Friday, April 5th. The Red Sox are going to start Cutter Crawford against Griffin Canning. That game is at 9:40 or 9:38, whatever. And then Garrett Whitlock versus Reed Detmers on Saturday. Then Sunday is an afternoon game, well, at least on the West Coast. Tanner Houck versus Chase Silseth, who I have never heard of.
He was solid last year.
He was solid last year. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But yeah, predictions, Derek, anything?
Well, I'll start with this. I think that this is the Angels team is kind of in they're in a weird spot because they started the season well, but it's also the Angels, and we know what the Angels are now. Griffin Canning gave up 5 runs in his first start, 5 runs in 5 innings, but Reed Detmers looked really good, just gave up 1 run in 5 innings. Silseth struggled a bit, gave up 3 runs in 3 innings in his first start. So you're kind of looking at a little bit of a mixed bag, but what I will say so far is the Angels' bullpen's been pretty solid. Carlos Estevez has picked up 2 saves, 2 innings, 2 clean innings, only allowed 1 base runner. Jose Soriano's pitched 3 innings, has only allowed 3 base runners. Matt Moore's been solid. He hasn't allowed any base runners by the looks of it, or at least hasn't allowed any hits and walks. Adam Simber's in that bullpen. Like, it's a decent little bullpen there that they have. So I think the key to this series for the Red Sox is going to be getting the starters out of the game early, getting up early, getting a few runs on the board early, chasing the starter and trying to get into that bullpen, especially in the first game of the series, because if you can put some wear and tear on that bullpen in the first game of the series, it does affect the rest of the series. So I think that's kind of going to be the key for the Red Sox, especially in Game 1. You are facing Griffin Canning. So, like I said, if you can chase him, get him out of there in 4 innings, 5, before it'd be more ideal. Get him out there in 4, force the bullpen to go 5 or more innings. I think that's kind of ideal for the Red Sox. Now, obviously, that could not happen. Griffin Canning goes 6, 7 innings. You never know, right? But I think key to the series, is getting the starters out of games early. The Angels, obviously, Trout's obviously important for them. It's Mike Trout. Like, he's really good. He's already got 3 homers already. Taylor Ward started off high. He's got 3 homers already. But overall, outside of the 2 of them, the Angels team, Logan O'Hoppy's also been pretty good to start the year as well. But outside of those 3, the Angels really struggled at the plate for the most part. They haven't had, a ton. Rendon sucks. Sean Will's gotten off to a slow start. Brandon Drury's gotten off to a slow start. Aaron Hicks has gotten off to a slow start. Mickey Moniak has only had 5 plate appearances, no hits. Zach Neto started off slow. Miguel Sano sitting 231 in 15 plate appearances. Whatever.
Miguel Sano.
Rengifo is 3 for 10. There's that, I guess. And the offense hasn't done a ton outside of Trout, Taylor Ward, and then Logan O'Hoppy. There hasn't done much. I think as a pitching staff, you have to attack these guys, especially if the offense is being cold. You got to attack them, and I think, like I said, get the starter out of the game early.
Yep, I echo what you say. I think my key to the game is continue to command the strike zone if you're the Red Sox, and especially the starters. Don't walk guys. Don't give free passes to anybody. Get back in counts, and stay in quality starts. I think every Red Sox, correct me if I'm wrong, I think every Red Sox pitcher this season's gone at least 5.
Yeah.
So that's great to see. Continue dominating the strike zone and continue going. 5's not deep, but continue going at least 5 innings. That's my key to the game. I think I'll give 2 out of 3. You can't really win them all, in my opinion. I think if anything, you're gonna lose. I like Reed Detmers a lot. I think you do too. So if they're gonna lose any game, it'll be the Reed Detmers versus Garrett Whitlock game. But I don't know. I have 2 out of 3 this series, Derek. What do you have?
I won't give a prediction. I'll more so give kind of my thought on it. They
Give
go
your
2 out of
thoughts, yeah.
3, and they return home. Think about it. You go right now. They're what, 5-2. They return after a 10-game West Coast road trip at 7-3. If you would have said before the season, the Red Sox go out west, they start the season 7-3, and the home opener they're 7-3, and they're potentially in first place. I mean, that's a very good start. I mean, obviously, like they played Oakland, and it's Oakland, and the Angels are the Angels.
Win's a win.
But exactly, a win's a win. You know, a win's better than a loss. You know, you have to beat these. These are teams you have to beat. You have to beat Oakland, right? Teams like the Angels, you got to win 2 out of 3 against at least, right? These are the teams that you need to win games against. Obviously, the Seattle series 2 out of 2. I mean, 2-2. Would have liked to go 3-1 in that series, but you know, you can't complain, right? I think when you look at the grand picture of it, 10-game road trip, if they can win 2 out of 3, go get home 7-3. I think you're looking at a home opener with with a lot of excitement potentially, and then that's your first real test against Baltimore, in my opinion. Your first real legit test against Baltimore to start your season at home. You go in 7-3 into that. Great. Heck, if you win all 3 and you go in 8-2, even better, right? But I think that's kind of the idea. They can go 2-3. I don't have any problems with that at all.
No, I agree, and I think the bare minimum. I forget when I said this, but I said I'll be happy if the Sox go 6-4 on this road trip. They have a very good chance of going 7-3. Heck, they could go 8-2 if they sweep the Angels here. The worst they can go is 6-4, right? Or, well, technically 5 or whatever. 5-4. So, I think. No, Jesus, I can't do math today.
5-5.
5-5. I can't do math today. Dear. But the best you're going to get is 7-3. Wait. I can't do math, bro.
The best you're going to get is 8-2.
8-2. Oh, my God.
Figure it out.
Oh, my God. Yeah. 8-2. Versus 5-5.
Yes. Very much so. I think, like I said, I think that for a fan perspective, they need to win 2 out of 3 here. And then you go home 7-3, like I said. I think that puts them in a very good spot. So yeah, I think that's kind of the thing. For me, I mean, if I'm gonna put a prediction, I'd put 2 out of 3. I mean, I don't like predicting sweeps because it's a little bit like, I feel like you predict a sweep, they're definitely not gonna sweep in some senses. So I'll say 2 out of 3.
No, I'll say 2 out of 3 as well. Alrighty, so that's the series preview, I guess. Let's get to news and notes. Derek, you want to go first?
Yeah,
or do you want me to go first?
I'll kind of explain that. I did this with Ed, although obviously with Ed being a guest, we didn't ask him to bring in any news story or whatnot. But basically, news and notes basically is a story from either around the baseball world. Red Sox could be Red Sox, could be MLB, could just be baseball in general. But overall, I think the idea is basically bring a story to the table that we find interesting and we think has weight to it. A little bit hard early in the season because there's only so much, but or it could just be something that we find interesting as a whole. So I will start first. I think the big news story that's broken is that the Oakland A's will be playing in Sacramento starting in 2025, from 2025 to 2027, if not longer, depending on when their stadium in Las Vegas is ready. So reportedly, what Oakland offered the A's was about $35 million, less than what they wanted over a 3-year span, which I think is kind of insane because 3 years over $35 million is what a decent relief pitcher.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you're an MLB team. I don't know why you're forcing a hand over or losing your mind about $35 million. You're a billion. Well, maybe not. The A's might not be $1 billion with how they're being run right now, but and the owners are like totally fine with them doing it. That's what's even worse about it too. So it's just a terrible situation. I feel bad for A's fans. Now their team's gonna be playing in Sacramento. Like, what are they gonna be? The Sacramento A's of Oakland?
From what I've heard, they're just gonna be called the A's. No team, no city.
No,
affiliated.
We're calling them the Sacramento A's of Oakland.
I'll call them the Sacramento A's.
Sacramento A's of Oakland. No, the whole thing.
The Sacramento A's of Oakland.
Yes, has to be the Sacramento A's of Oakland. That's the big thing. How do you feel about that, Jason? About them going to Sacramento?
I mean, look, I mean, the fans in Oakland clearly show that they care. It sucks that they don't have an ownership who really cares anymore. And, I mean, it just watching that series is like, no one's there. It's a ghost town. It's crazy. Like, the game one was, I checked, it was like 6,000, but it didn't feel like that. It felt like 1,000, if that. That's the thing.
Yeah, because that's a massive stadium as well. It's
a massive stadium. Yep.
You know,
and it's the Red Sox last trip to Oakland.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's what's wild about that is they literally wouldn't have been able to fill up a minor league stadium.
That's where they're playing now.
The game was at Polar Park. You're not filling the stadium with that 6,000. That's kind of sad.
No. And Buster Only put this out in a tweet. He said, it appears that the difference between Oakland offered and what the A's wanted was about $35 million or so over 3 years, or about the same that the Angels are paying reliever Robert Stevenson.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Exactly.
Robert Stevenson, he's good, but like at the same time, he's not like eye-opening. He's not like incredible. No diss to him. I actually like Robert Suarez. I like him a lot, but like, really? Come on.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Crazy. Yippee-ki-yay.
Oakland lost. The A's basically left Oakland over the cost of Robert Stevenson. Nice one.
Yep.
Nice one, Oakland.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or Sacramento of Oakland.
Or Sacramento.
Sacramento A's of Oakland.
I think we got to take we got to go to a Sacramento A's game. I think now. I think we do next year. Next year. Yep.
Please no. I don't want to see a team of a bunch of 30-year-old AAA and AA guys. No, thank you.
Is the Sacramento? I'm pretty sure that's what the Giants AAA affiliate.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure. I think I saw something. It's the Giants AAA affiliate, meaning where they're gonna split games between.
Yeah, it's the
Oakland Call. I think. Yeah, the Oakland Coliseum. I think they're gonna play some games there too, and I think they'll play. I saw Oracle Park too. They're gonna split time everywhere. The AAA team will, which is insane.
Insane. Yeah, it's insane. The Sacramento River Cats is the AAA team of the Giants.
The Giants.
Yeah, River Cats. They might be playing in a river at some point at this rate.
Yeah, but terrible day for the city of Oakland.
Yeah.
Well, that leaves me to my news and notes of the week. So mine is earlier today, April 4th, Marlins starting pitcher Yuri Perez was announced he's getting Tommy John surgery. So you have almost a whole rotation now on the injured list with arm-related injuries. You have Sandy Alcantara, who last season got Tommy John. Now, Yuri Perez. Now you have Edward Cabrera, who has a shoulder injury, and you have Braxton Garrett, who has an shoulder injury
as well.
Yep, shoulder injury, which is insane. Some say if you need this shoulder surgery, but they didn't get shoulder surgery. My God, but whatever. But yeah, they have their whole those are the key guys. If the Marlins were going to be competitive to do anything, right now their number one is Jesus Luzardo, and then AJ Puck. Ryan Weathers.
Sorry. Who's the number 2 again?
AJ Hockey Puck.
You mean the guy's never started in the big leagues before this year? Who was
really
a temporary closer for them at times last year?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. The guy who wasn't even their closer the whole year last year.
The guy who was traded for JJ Bleday.
I mean, to be fair, the Marlins did win that trade. Let's be fair.
Let's
be fair to them.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, yeah, that just and they have Sixto Sanchez, by the way, in the bullpen. But anyways,
because he's
and fun fact, they have Red Sox legend Matt Andriese too as their long reliever.
Yeah, I know, it's insane. I mean, to be fair though, they could do a lot worse. I mean, Sixto threw 34 pitches in his last appearance, which was 4 days ago or something like that. So maybe they could stretch him out a little bit if they needed a spot start, but I don't know.
Probably not.
Healthy. He hasn't been healthy in 3 years.
Yeah, and I want to add on, especially in the year where the Marlins are off to a horrific start, it's just not getting any better for them with Perez going down. And Yuri Perez was a very special prospect. I liked what I saw from him last season. Sucked they sent him down for almost no reason because they didn't want to waste him. I mean, now look at him. He has Tommy John now, but hey, I mean, that's the reality. A lot more guys are getting Tommy John than before. It's just unfortunate. And hopefully Yuri will be back mid next season by the All-Star break and shine. That's all you can hope for now for Yuri Perez. That's my news and notes of the week. Anything else you want to add? It's rough for the Marlins, yeah.
They're 0-8. Like, it's bad. Like, they have 4 starting pitchers on the injured list. 2 of them on the 60-day. They also 2
of them won't pitch this year.
Yeah, 2 of them won't pitch this year. JT Chargois is on the injured list for the Marlins with neck spasms. Josh Simpson, another reliever, on the injured list with elbow ulnar neuritis. And then Huascar Brazoban, who had a 4.14 ERA last year in 58 innings for the Marlins out of the bullpen, is on the restricted list because he's having visa issues and still isn't in the United States. So that's in total 7 pitchers that they're missing. 7. Now, not
just
saying
very rough.
Josh Simpson probably doesn't make the big league roster. Probably.
He has options though.
He probably goes to AAA, but even if you don't count him, they still have 6 guys who are big league pitchers who aren't on their roster because they're injured. And Max Meyer, I like Max Meyer. He was one of their top prospects, but he's also a guy who missed all of last year with Tommy John, came back this year. They sent him back to the minor leagues in the beginning of March, and then they had to call him back up because all these guys got injured, right? And they're like, oh, nope, you're a number 5 starter now. Trevor Rogers, with the exception of 2021, has been bad. Straight up bad. Ryan Weathers is straight up bad. AJ Puck, before this year, has never started a game in the big leagues. And then you have Jesus Luzardo, who's good, who's really good. But
he could be very hot at the deadline. He could be a name to watch.
This Marlins team, I went into the year saying this. This Marlins team is like, they are not that good. Like, they lost Soler, they lost some guys, and then they lost, like, Joey Wendell was their shortstop last year. It's like, he's not that bad, and it's like, he's not that bad, but he's not that good. But it's like, he's not that bad, right?
Yep.
And
they're going to be without the race, too. They're going to be without the race,
Tim
too.
Tim Anderson.
Oh, woo.
Tim Anderson is their starting shortstop.
Yeah.
Tim Anderson, the guy who had an OPS under 600 last year. Yeah, that was their big free agent move. Yeah, how about that one?
Crazy.
Huh?
That's wild.
Yeah, nice one. He's right now he's hitting 231 with a 286 on base and a 269.
How much of that's BABIP luck?
Probably a decent amount of it. Let's be honest. No, probably not. Right now, Tim Anderson.
We don't know yet, but
Tim Anderson. No, it is BABIP luck. He's got a 375 BABIP.
Oh my!
He's still hit
what?
375 BABIP, and he's hitting 230.
And he's hitting 230.
Nice. Yeah.
Of
nice
course.
One. Yeah, he is struggling. That's some.
Always been a high BABIP. You told me you've been a strong believer that Tim Anderson was a product that just was very lucky.
Well, not necessarily very lucky. I mean, but like he was a little bit of a BABIP. Should I say?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I think he led the AL in batting average. He had like a 400 BABIP, and it's like, yeah, that's not going to stick. And I've been waiting since that year. I've been waiting for the time where he's just going to, like, his BABIP dips and it's game over, and it happened last year, and it was just like, about damn time.
Yeah. Alrighty. Let's go on to stat of the week.
Yeah. I will let you go first.
Yeah.
Mine is Angels related.
Let's go. Yours is Angels related. Ooh. All right. So mine is sweet spot percentage. Now, if you do not know what sweet spot percentage is, MLB.com defines it as how often the batter produces a batted ball in the launch angle that's in the quote-unquote sweet spot zone. Basically, if you make great contact, that's what sweet spot is. Is it like, are you making solid contact, or are you going to make contact or is it going to be a fly ball or a ground out? Very good. So my stat is going to come in the form of the rankings in that. So number 1 is Ronel Blanco of the Astros with 5% sweet spot percentage. Number 2 is Tanner Houck, 9.1. And he's up there with guys like Josh Hader, Andrew Heaney, Frankie Montas. Pretty good. George Kirby's up there too. Joe Ryan. So, he's doing well. I know it's a very small sample size. He's only faced 21 batters, and it's one start. This is based off of, but hey, it's something, and I expect them to, maybe improve on that. And it's hard to improve on that, but I hope he sustains it. The fan in me hopes he sustains it, but I think that's notable to say the least. Derek, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's still small sample size, but it kind of does show how good of a start he had in that game. I mean, to be fair, he did get to face Oakland, so, there's also that. But, I mean, hey, doesn't matter who you do it. They're still big leaguers. I mean, not necessarily good big leaguers, some of them, but they're still big leaguers, right? So I think overall, when you look at the big picture of it, it's nice to see, but it's still one thing to kind of them starting off, so the pitching rotation as a whole, it's small sample size, so there's still a lot of games left to be played. But
right.
Overall, like I said, it's good to see. For me, I do have to give a shout out to the Baseball Quotes Twitter account because I did see this there and I went, whoa, because I was looking at this, right? I was looking at this guy and I'm like, he's been really bad so far to start the year. And then there's the second part that they put out that I was like, holy crap, it's actually worse than I thought. So, have you seen who the Angels' leadoff hitter is?
Yeah, it's Rendon, isn't it?
It is Anthony Rendon, who may be the worst leadoff hitter of all time. Anthony Rendon this season is 0 for 19. He's also drawn a walk. Yippee-ki-yay, you did something, I guess. So he's 0 for 19.
Who's that walk-off?
Do you want to take a guess when Anthony Rendon's last hit was?
Oh, I'm going to go last July.
July 3rd of 2023 was Anthony Rendon's last hit in an MLB game. You know what makes that crazy?
What?
Since Anthony Rendon's last hit, the Los Angeles Angels have drafted Nolan Schanuel, who has then been promoted to Single A, promoted to Double A, then promoted to the big leagues, and has 33 big league hits.
That's
since
insane.
Anthony Rendon last got his MLB hit. That was his last MLB hit.
Did you steal that part from the tweet or no?
Yes, the last part.
Oh my God.
I was already looking at the first part. The part that he doesn't have a hit since out all this season, I had already known. But when I saw the second part of since Rendon's last hit, Schanuel's been drafted, promoted to Single A, Double A, the big leagues, and has 33 hits. Yeah, I was like, I'm using that. So shout out to the Baseball Quotes Twitter account because that is insane. The fact that Schanuel has literally been drafted, promoted 3 times, and has 33 big league hits since his teammate, who is getting paid, should I remind you, $35 million a year, has last gotten a hit.
Yeah, seems like a bad contract, no?
Yeah, great. Talk about leadoff hitter.
And yeah, he's your leadoff hitter.
He's their leadoff hitter. He's been hit leadoff for the Angels.
I want to say
imagine being an Angels fan. I feel so bad for them. Them and Oakland, both.
I feel more for Oakland, but I feel being an Angels fan is like you've had 2 of the most generational talents ever, and you've done nothing with them. Ohtani said bye and left to your crosstown rivals, and Mike Trout hitting homers and losing 9-1.
Yeah.
Incredible. I can't fathom being a Angels fan. I cannot. I know we complain about being Sox fans, but I don't know whether it's being a Mets fan, being an Angels fan, being an A's fan.
Marlins at this point.
Marlins at this point. Yeah, Minnesota Twins fans for years. I can't imagine what it's been like. But that just goes to show how blessed we are and how maybe overreactive we can be. But not just me. But
Very much.
yeah, that's a cool stat, Derek. Any final thoughts as we wrap up? We're about at the 45-minute mark.
No, honestly, like I said, I'm excited for the series. I want to get this 9:30 game done and over with on Friday, and then we're away from the late night games for a while. So I will take that very much. Get me off these 9:30, 10 o'clock terrible start times.
How about this? If Anthony Rendon still doesn't have a hit by our next midweek show, what should I do? Something funny.
I have no clue.
I'll figure something out. I'll figure out if he still doesn't have a hit by the weekend show. I'll figure it out. How about
You'll
that?
use him for your baseball statistics club as your player of the week.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There you go.
Oh yeah. There you go. Alrighty. So I think it's a good time to wrap this up. So for Derek and everyone else who is tuning in, thank you for making it this far. I'm Jason. Thanks for tuning into the Fenway Focus. Our next episode will air Monday. And yeah, go Sox.